I'll never forget the sound Rex made that morning. Not a bark, not a growl. It was a low, guttural sound, the kind that vibrates in your bones before your brain can process it. It was the first time he'd ever made that sound since I adopted him. We were in the middle of a routine baggage sweep at Terminal B, just another shift for a washed-up cop and his even more tired K9. I'd worked that circuit for 9 years. Seen my share of drugs, smuggled weapons, and once even a kid being trafficked in a pet carrier. But this wasn't that. Rex froze in front of the suitcase like his soul had turned to stone. He wasn't sniffing anymore. He was trembling, ears pinned back, hackles up, one paw lifted, hovering, like he was trying not to touch the floor or like he was listening to something I couldn't hear. I took a step forward, clipboard still in hand. "Rex?" I whispered. He leapt, not at me, not away, at the suitcase. I drew my weapon out of instinct. The terminal went quiet. My partner, Angela, rushed over from Carousel 2. "What's going on?" "I don't know," I said, my throat tightening. "He's never done this before." Rex was clawing at the hard shell of the bag now, snarling, frantic. I called in a lockdown. TSA pulled civilians out. Bomb squad was en route. But I couldn't wait. I crouched and ran my fingers along the suitcase zipper. It was cold. Too cold. Like it had come from a freezer, not a flight. I hesitated. Then I unzipped it. The smell hit first. Metallic, sweet, wrong. Angela turned away and gagged. My stomach twisted, but I forced myself to look. Inside was a child's blanket. Torn. Soaked in something I didn't want to name. Beneath it, wrapped in layers of duct tape and plastic, was a bundle no bigger than a loaf of bread. And inside that bundle, something that made every officer in the room go dead silent. A baby's onesie, tiny, stained, still warm. No body, just the clothing. That's what made it worse. Section 2. The missing. That night I couldn't sleep. Neither could Rex. He kept pacing the apartment, his claws tapping the hardwood in a steady rhythm like he was tracing an invisible map. He'd stop at the door, sniff, whimper, then keep going. We'd been through a lot together. Rex was a rescue from a failed narcotics raid. They found him chained in a closet, half-starved, surrounded by the overdosed bodies of his owners. I took him home the day after, against department orders. They wanted him euthanized. Said he was too traumatized to retrain, but I saw something in his eyes, something I recognized. The same darkness I saw in the mirror. After my daughter died, I couldn't face the world. My wife left. My badge started to feel heavier. My gun, well, I hid it more often than I carried it. But Rex gave me a reason to get out of bed again. Now he was staring at the suitcase, which we'd sealed in an evidence locker until forensics could process it. Only thing was, I never told him where they stored it, but that night he led me straight there, pawed at the locker door, let out that low whine again. "Are you hearing something I can't, boy?" I whispered. His ears twitched. I opened the locker. It was empty. My blood ran cold. The suitcase was gone. The next morning, Angela called me before sunrise. "We've got a problem," she said. "The forensics tech didn't check the suitcase in, says it never arrived." "What do you mean?" "It never arrived. I mean someone signed it out an hour after we left." "Who?" She was quiet for a long time. "No one. The badge number doesn't exist. Section 3. The whisper room." The trail led nowhere, fast. No footage from security cams, just static where the suitcase should have been visible. No fingerprints, no logs, just that strange badge number, 001D, a code that didn't match any department, in the system. Angela and I pushed harder, dug through old records, found a pattern. 3 years ago, another suitcase incident. Different city. Same MO clothes only. No body. A child's toy this time, stuffed bear with a torn leg. 2 years. Before that, Denver. Crib sheet and baby monitor, both soaked in blood. No DNA hits, no suspects. Every case had 2 things in common. No body, and a dog who wouldn't stop barking at the luggage. That's when I remembered something my daughter used to say when she was scared at night. They whispered to me, "Daddy, the kid's under the floor." I'd chalked it up to nightmares, but now I wasn't sure. Rex had started growling at my bedroom floor. Same spot. Every night. I ripped up the boards. Found nothing. Until Rex dug deeper. Underneath the subfloor, we found it. A bundle of fabric, rotted nearly beyond recognition. It was another onesie. Pink this time. Same brand as the one in the suitcase. I collapsed onto the floor. Angela took it in for testing. The DNA came back. It matched my daughter. But she died in a car crash. Didn't she? Section 4. The room. No one talks about. I went back to the crash report. It didn't add up. No coroner photos. No death certificate on file. Just a burned-out car and a closed casket. Closed because they said she was unrecognizable. But I never asked. To see the body, I couldn't. And now I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd been lied to. That my little girl might still be out there. Or part of something darker. Angela and I tracked the badge code 001D to an abandoned government facility outside the city, listed under a decommissioned child welfare project. The place was half collapsed. Graffiti covered the walls. But deep in the basement, there was power, still running. There were cameras, monitors, and a single locked room. The whisper room. We found files. Photos of children, notes scribbled in frantic handwriting. They don't scream, they dream, they never leave the bag. Dogs can hear them. That's why they know. The suitcases are vessels. The kids, still there. I felt the air thicken. Rex began barking violently. The door shook. Then I heard it. A whisper. "Daddy." It wasn't in my head. Angela heard it too. We broke the door down. Inside was a room filled with suitcases. Hundreds. Each one labeled. Each one humming with that same cold vibration I felt the day Rex jumped at the first one. One suitcase in the center glowed faintly. I approached. My hands shook. I opened it. Inside was the teddy bear I'd buried with my daughter. And her drawing. Me. Her. And a dog that looked just like Rex. I collapsed. The grief hit like a tidal wave. Rex whimpered beside me, tail wagging slowly. Angela pulled me back. "We need to go." But before we did, I looked around one last time. The suitcases were vibrating, all of them. And from somewhere deep in the building, I heard children laughing. It happened at 4:57 p.m. Just before the shift change, just when most agents were counting down minutes and the conveyor belts of LAX's Terminal 5 had thinned to a trickle. I was standing by the arrivals carousel with Rex, my canine partner, running one last sweep through the day's abandoned luggage. You'd think I'd be used to the rhythm by now. The noise, the smell of jet fuel and lost perfume, the odd sense that every piece of luggage carried some secret no one wanted to claim. But that day, something shifted. Rex stopped. Not like when he catches the scent of marijuana and sits with that bored little whine. Not like when he's pretending to work so he can get his treat. No, this time his whole body locked. He froze, ears forward, tail stiff, eyes like pinpricks. And then he lunged. "Rex, heel!" I shouted, grabbing his harness. But he yanked again, harder, his claws scraping the polished tile like he was trying to dig through it. All of his attention was laser-focused on a charcoal gray suitcase, rolling along the carousel as if it were any other. My heart thudded. I've worked with this dog for nearly 3 years. I know the difference between a routine, alert, and something else. This wasn't an alert, this was fear, urgency, grief. His body shook. The suitcase bumped along the metal curve and Rex began whining. Not the usual impatient, high-pitched noise. A low, gut-punched moan that made my stomach twist. He circled the bag once, then lay down, pressing his head against it, breathing deep. And then, he whimpered. Not barked, not growled. He whimpered. Something inside that suitcase moved. I pulled my radio. Unit 4 requesting backup. Potential live contact and unattended baggage. Repeat. Live contact. Bring bomb squad and medics. Area needs to be cleared. People were starting to stare. A couple stepped back. A kid pointed and said, "Mommy, why's the dog crying?" The carousel jolted. The suitcase nudged forward. A faint thump sounded from inside. Then another. And then I heard it, a tiny whimper. So faint it could have been my imagination. But Rex heard it too. He stood, turned to me, and stared straight into my eyes with something I hadn't seen in years. Not since my daughter disappeared off the edge of a dock and never surfaced. Panic, pleading. As if to say, "She's in there. My name is Logan Reyes. I used to believe in what I could see. That was before my daughter died. 2 years ago, the world tilted off its axis. My daughter Emma was 6. It was just a father-daughter trip to Lake Arrowhead. We were only 20 feet from shore when she slipped off the edge of the dock. No splashes, no scream. Just gone. The divers never found her. Just her little pink shoe wedged under a rock and her favorite bear floating days later, waterlogged and silent. I didn't drown that day, but something inside me did. My wife left 6 months later. Couldn't look at me anymore. Said I stopped being present. Maybe she was right. I stayed in the house alone, staring at old toys and listening to the wind rattle the swing set. Then came Rex. He was assigned to me almost by accident. A rescue shepherd mix, with aggression problems. They said he'd washed out of 2 departments already. Too stubborn, too emotional, too broken. Sounded familiar. They told me to take him for 2 weeks. Try to get him used to detection work. If it didn't work out, he'd be retired permanently. But on the first night, he lay down by Emma's bed. Wouldn't move. Slept there like a soldier on post. He's been with me ever since. By the time the bomb squad arrived, Rex refused to leave the suitcase's side. Every time I tried to guide him away, he'd plant his paws and lean his weight, growling low. A couple agents gave me looks like I'd lost control of my dog. I wanted to snap back. I wanted to say, "He's not misbehaving, he's mourning." The suitcase sat perfectly still, zippered and innocuous. Too clean. Too new. I couldn't shake the feeling something wasn't right. Even before they touched it, I pulled out my phone and opened my notes app, typing with one hand. Suitcases approx. 28. Roller, brand new. No tags, no flight stickers, no identifiers. Rex alerted hard. Whining. Barked once. Now guarding it. Suspect live contents. Not explosive. Possibly human. Possibly... child? I stared at that word. Child. It felt insane. But so did the fact that my trained K9 partner was now pressing his body against the suitcase like a grieving mother over a casket. "Bomb team says no radiation, no explosives," someone said behind me. "They're sending in the snake camera." I turned away. My hands were shaking. "Sir," said one of the techs, a young guy with shaky gloves. "We've got movement. Internal." "Still think it's a bomb?" someone else muttered. And then the screen came on. We all leaned forward, breaths held. "What?" we saw made one of the squad members gasp out loud. It was a small face. Eyes closed, lips parted. A child, wrapped in a fuzzy pink blanket. The paramedics were through the security lines in minutes. They cut the lock, unzipped the suitcase, and what spilled out was not just horrifying, it was impossible. A girl, about 4 or 5. Pale, barely conscious. Her lips were blue, but she was breathing. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just lay there, eyes fluttering open as if she'd been trapped inside a dream. And when Rex approached, moving slowly, cautiously, she didn't flinch. She reached out a small hand, touched his fur, and whispered, "You found me." I dropped to one knee, stunned. Everything went silent. It was like watching a ghost meet a memory. She didn't know me. Not yet. But something in her eyes, something way too old for a girl that small, felt familiar. Rex licked her hand once, then lay down beside her. He didn't move again for the next 6 hours. I went home that night with a headache that pounded like war. Drums. Every sound in the dark felt amplified. Every whisper from the street outside felt like a warning. Rex didn't touch his food. He just sat by the door, tail thumping once in a while, ears trained like he was waiting for someone. I knew that. Look, I used to wear it too. It wasn't alertness. It was grief. On the edge of hope. Somewhere in the distance, my phone buzzed with updates. Unidentified child. No name. No matching reports. Hospital stable. But no explanation. And I just kept staring at the picture they'd sent me from the ER. The girl in the pink blanket, eyes too wide, lips too familiar. And for the first time in years, I dared to feel something dangerous. Not fear, not sorrow, but something worse. Recognition. I didn't sleep. Even after the paramedics took the baby and the airport emptied out and the world tried to go back to normal, I just couldn't. I kept thinking about the way she whispered to Leo, like she'd been waiting for him. Like she knew him. And Leo, he hadn't left the front door since we got home. Ears perked, eyes glued to the street. He was waiting too. The news broke faster than I expected. Miracle baby found in airport suitcase. No ID, no leads. The media threw every theory at it. Trafficking, abandonment, cults. But the police had nothing. The child had been taken straight to St. Mary's. Her vitals were weak, her skin mottled. The doctors didn't even give her a name. On the chart, she was just Jane Doe, F. approximator Oriers. She had no shoes, no bruises, just a thin hospital bracelet and a mark on her ankle like someone had once inserted an IV. They let me visit. Only for a moment. She looked up at me and smiled. That same eerie familiarity hit me like a wave, but I didn't know why. Back home, Leo kept pacing. The suitcase, the one from the airport, had been taken in for evidence. But Leo kept sniffing the empty spot in the garage where it had sat. He'd whimper, circle, then dig at the floor like he was trying to unearth something I didn't understand. A knock at the door startled me. It was Detective Ramirez, stern, tall, but calm in a way that made you want to tell her things. "I've got some questions," she said, stepping inside. Told her everything. How I found the suitcase. How Leo reacted. How I used to be a K-9 handler. She studied Leo for a long time. "What's he sniffing at?" I shrugged. "He's been doing that all day." Ramirez knelt beside him, brushing her fingers over the concrete. Then, she paused. A tiny corner of something dark was wedged into the corner of the garage, half tucked behind the workbench. Ramirez reached for it. It was a rag. Old, crusted, faintly red, smelled like antiseptic and something else. "Perfume," Ramirez murmured. "Lilac, expensive." She bagged it and stood. "Mind if we keep him close?" She nodded toward Leo. "He might be a better detective than half my team." That night I couldn't sit still. The air in the house felt heavier than usual, like it was pushing against my chest. I lay on the couch staring at the ceiling. Leo sat by the window, growling under his breath every few minutes. Then I dozed, and I dreamt of her. My sister. She stood on the edge of the driveway, holding a suitcase in her hands, whispering something I couldn't hear. Her mouth moved like she was repeating a name. Then she pointed behind me. I turned and woke up. Leo was standing over me, nose pressed to my face, eyes wide. He growled low and walked toward the back room, the storage closet where I kept boxes from the old days. Don't know why I opened them. I hadn't touched her case files in over a year. My sister died 2 years ago. Hit and run. She was walking home late from work. It was raining. No witnesses. Just a single skid mark. And the faint smell of something floral reported by the coroner. They said it wasn't enough to open a murder investigation. Case closed. But that scent, that damn scent, I could smell it now. Leo nosed through the box until he pulled something out with his teeth. An old scarf. My sister's. Pale blue, with a snag along the edge. I used to tease her about wearing it year-round. Leo sniffed it. His ears twitched. Then he ran straight to the door and barked so loud I thought my ears would pop. I followed him into the night. We charged, 2 blocks west, down a crooked alley I never paid attention to, past the old bakery and the shuttered laundromat. Leo pulled me down the hill until we stopped in front of a strange little house. Yellowed curtains, a dead garden, ivy creeping up the siding. I had lived in this neighborhood 10 years and never noticed it. Leo barked. Once. Twice. Then the curtain moved. A woman. She stared at us, then pulled it shut again. Leo lost it. Barked like he was trying to scare a ghost. I had to drag him away, but I couldn't stop staring at that window. Something about her eyes. The silence was louder than any siren I'd ever heard. When I got home, there was an envelope under my door. No address, no stamp. Just my name in tiny, careful handwriting. Inside was a single note printed in block letters. Stop asking questions. The baby was never meant to live. The paper smelled faintly like lilac, the exact perfume my sister wore the night she died. It started with the necklace. My sister's old necklace, cheap silver with a chipped blue glass charm, used to sit in a memory box, untouched for years. But that morning, I found Leo crouched over it like he was protecting something sacred. He wouldn't let me near it at first. Just growled low and steady until I whispered her name. Only then did he back away. I picked it up, and something hit me like a punch to the brain. Flashes. Not memories, not dreams. Visions. Hospital lights flickering, the metallic clang of doors. A woman sobbing behind a curtain, a bloodied steering wheel, a beeping monitor. Then darkness. I dropped the necklace. My hands were shaking. Leo whined and nudged it back toward me. The next night I watched the porch cam footage. I don't even know why, just couldn't sleep and Leo had been acting strange again. The footage showed him at 3:12 a.m., barking violently at the edge of the yard. At nothing. No raccoons, no passers-by, just empty sidewalk. Then I saw it, a ripple in the air. Like heat rising off pavement, but it was 42 degrees out. I froze the frame and leaned in, and for the briefest moment in that warping shimmer, I swore I saw her. My sister, standing just beyond the fence, mouthing my name. I drove straight to the precinct the next morning, Leo in the back seat, his eyes fixed forward like he knew we were getting close. Ramirez looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept in weeks. I sat across from her, palms flat on the desk. I need you to tell me everything, I said. No more careful words, no more protocol. She hesitated, then opened a drawer and pulled out a small plastic bag. Inside, it a faded toe tag. This was found inside the lining of the suitcase, she said. Torn off a hospital bracelet, we traced the ID code. She looked up, as if afraid to say it out loud. It belonged to a girl who died 3 years ago. Didn't breathe, Ramirez continued. She died at St. Mary's, same hospital that baby's at now. My mouth went dry. What was her name? Ramirez swallowed. Cynthia Mayfield. My sister. I couldn't wait anymore. I marched straight to the house, the one Leo had dragged me to. He stood beside me now, tail low, posture stiff. I knocked. The woman answered. Her eyes widened. You need to leave, she said instantly. I know what you did. Her expression didn't change, but her hand trembled on the doorknob. You don't understand, she whispered. She should have stayed dead. What does that mean? She came back wrong, she hissed. You can't bring them back, and expect them to be the same. Then she slammed the door in my face. Ramirez called me the next day, her voice buzzing with a mixture of nerves and anger. I did some digging on your mystery neighbor. Turns out the woman used to be a nurse, fired after an investigation into tampered patient records and narcotics theft. No official charges stuck. But whispers followed her. She resurfaced 2 years ago running some sort of grief counseling group for women who lost children. Only it wasn't just counseling. She called it the Red Door Circle. A healing group, with ideas about reincarnation through trauma. Believed that pain opened the soul like a gateway. Ramirez sounded like she didn't believe half of what she was telling me. But I did. Because the hospital footage Ramirez had pulled from the night my sister died, it was gone. Corrupted. The only person working the file that night? That woman. It got worse. I started getting letters in the mail. No return address. Just single lines typed. The mother died for a reason. You weren't supposed to find. He knows now. Ramirez called again. I got access to the original medical records from the coroner's office. I waited. She was pregnant. I dropped my phone. My sister. She never told anyone. Not even me. Her best friend. Her only sibling. She was 6 weeks along. I don't remember walking to the garage. I just remember Leo sitting beside that necklace, like it was holding the world together. He looked up at me, and I knew DNA testing took a few days. I don't know how I functioned during that time. I barely ate. I didn't leave the house. Ramirez checked in twice. Leo never left my side. Then the call came. Ramirez didn't say hello. She just breathed hard into the phone. The baby, she said. It's hers. The mother is Cynthia Mayfield. My heart didn't beat. It ached. And the father? I asked. A long silence. Still unlisted. Still unlisted. I looked down at Leo. He had curled around the necklace again. Protecting it, or maybe guarding what was left of her. Ramirez and I didn't say much on the drive over. There wasn't anything left to say. The facts were warped, emotions running on fumes. But something inside both of us, maybe guilt, maybe hope, pushed us to that house again. Only this time, it was empty. No lights, no signs of life. The windows were wide open, curtains fluttering like dying breath. The front door creaked open with the touch of a finger. She's gone, Ramirez muttered. But Leo had his nose to the floor, tracking something invisible. His muscles tense, his steps deliberate. Then he stopped at a corner rug. Barked. Once, we rolled it back. A trapdoor. I looked at Ramirez, he nodded. We went down. The cellar smelled like bleach and old soil. I clicked on my phone flashlight. Leo padded ahead, unshaken, ears forward. The space opened into a hidden room, low-ceilinged and suffocating. What we found down there didn't belong in the world we knew. Old hospital beds, a box of name tags faded with time, drawings on the walls in chalk, symbols I couldn't decipher. Some looked medical, others didn't. Photos, dozens of them pinned like trophies, women in hospital gowns, some conscious, most not, some barely more than girls. One photo stopped my breath. My sister. She looked sedated, her eyes unfocused, her head slumped to the side, tubes taped to her arm. Beside her, smiling, was the woman from the house. And someone else. A man. Tall. Smiling like he'd won a prize. Eyes too calm. Leo growled, low and vibrating. We weren't alone. A shape moved in the shadows. Then the man stepped out from behind a curtain of hanging sheets. You shouldn't be here, he said softly. This place is sacred. Ramirez stepped in front of me. You're under arrest, the man smiled. You still don't get it, do you? I clenched my fists. You killed my sister. I delivered her, he said, voice silk smooth. From the body, from pain. Trauma is the thread. It binds the soul to this world. Her suffering, her fear, made her the perfect vessel. And the child. Leo lunged before the man could finish. A flash of teeth, the sound of ripping cloth, a scream. The man hit the floor. Leo's jaws clamped around his arm, holding him in place with terrifying precision. Ramirez radioed for backup, cuffed the man as he whimpered. Police swarmed minutes later. They took the man into custody, raided the house, secured the photos, the files, the names. But none of that stunned me more than what Ramirez said after. He was pale, hands shaking. She never told me, he whispered. Told you what? She was going to run away with me, your sister. We were together. I stared at him. She said she couldn't be with me unless we left. Said people were watching her. Said she felt something was coming. I thought she was scared of her ex or just anxiety. I didn't know about any of this. He sat down on the steps, head in hands. I didn't know she was pregnant. Leo walked over and rested his head on Ramirez's knee. The man didn't flinch. She died thinking she was alone. Ramirez murmured. No, I said quietly. She had you. And now, she has her daughter. The hospital smelled like soap and light. I stood by the incubator watching the baby's tiny fingers curl around air. Her skin was pinker now, her breathing stronger. Leo sat quietly beside me. She's going to be okay, the nurse said. Ramirez stood on the other side of the glass, paperwork in hand. He looked terrified and determined. I want you in her life, he told me. She needs both of us. She deserves both of us. I didn't speak, just nodded. When they brought her out, wrapped in soft blue, I knelt down. Leo licked her hand, gentle as falling snow. She smiled. Then her fingers closed around my sister's old necklace, the one I'd strung onto a soft leather cord for her. And I swear, just for a second, I felt warmth bloom in the air. Like summer, in the dead of winter. Leo sleeps easier now. No more pacing, no more growling at shadows. We're figuring things out, Ramirez and I, day by day. Some days feel impossible. Others feel like grace. The suitcase is gone now. But sometimes, late at night, Leo stares at the corner of the room, ears perked, tail still, as if waiting, as if someone's whispering, "Thank you."